When I've asked friends and family why they don't tell more stories, one of the biggest reasons that I hear is, well, I don't tell more stories because I feel like they're boring. And that is hard. You want to tell stories that are entertaining for you and everyone else. But although we create this epic world with visualization, getting people to journey into it, that's a struggle. And that's what this video is about today. Part of the problem is in how we've been talking about stories so far. We generally don't think of stories as a series of images, but as entertainment. Movies, TV shows, stories around the campfire. We tell stories to feel something, and that feeling is what draws us into them. We like listening to stories that are good, and bad stories we can tell instantly. To illustrate this, I found the least watched video on Jimmy Fallon's channel. And it's about a duo named Sylvan Esso. I want to show you a brief clip from this so you can see how the producer, Nick, goes about telling a story of the first time he visited a concert.
And he comes out in this fury and he's spinning on one leg while playing the guitar, like really fast for some reason.
Oh no!
And it's a little uncomfortable.
Now, this story isn't bad, but it certainly isn't compelling. You can see that Nick is visualizing the world around him and he's in the story's world, but he isn't drawing you in. You don't want to keep listening to it, even though the story is coherent. Compare this to someone like Robin Williams, who in my opinion is one of the best storytellers of all time. Watch how he delivers this joke.
And how they could invent a sport like golf. Here's my idea for a fucking sport. I knock a ball in a gopher hole.
Oh, you mean like pool?
Fuck off, pool! Not with a straight stick, with a little fucked up stick. I whack the ball that goes in a gopher hole.
Do you see how Robin goes into character? He wants you to see that moment, and that's what makes it compelling. That's one of the biggest distinctions between a good storyteller and a bad storyteller. Telling you about a moment rather than showing you a struggle. When I say struggle, I mean a character wanting to do something but having some force opposing him. In Nick's story, it was about a guitar player wanting to be cool. Whereas in Robin's story, it was about a Scot trying to convince someone that his idea for golf is unique. And although both stories have struggles in them, the way that they go about telling you about those struggles is completely different. Nick's story just says that this happens, whereas Robin shows you what it looks like, and that makes it compelling. By adopting the mannerisms, voice, and perspective of the Scot, he draws you into the story, and he makes you want to keep listening. In storytelling, what Robin does is called dramatic mode. Dramatic mode is choosing to be in the moment, acting as the characters. And Yuri Hansen showed that this makes the story much more compelling. He played vivid stories and he showed that storytelling syncs up our brains. He showed that a teller's brain and a listener's brain literally show the exact same activation pattern when you're listening. So if you are having fun telling a story in the moment, your audience will be as well. Dramatic mode looks something like this. So I got out of my car, I looked down at my phone for a second, and then I looked back and my car had performed a magic trick. I whipped around and I saw it rolling down the hill and I went, oh shit, because it was going, bye-bye. Now, I could also tell that exact same story by just saying, I got out of my car and looked down for a second, looked back and saw it rolling down the hill. And although it's still good, I'm not in the moment. You're listening to me telling you a story rather than watching me react by going, what? And going, oh shit, and bye-bye. I'm using different voices, different actions, and that draws you into the story. It makes it much more colorful and entertaining. I want to be clear that it's not just because I'm using different voices that this works. It's because I'm in the moment. I'm present. I'm feeling this. I'm letting you watch me feel it. I'm acting. See, visualization creates the world, but acting as the characters, being in dramatic mode, that brings it to life. You've heard the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, imagine what a life is worth. And that's what you're doing with dramatic mode. You are bringing a story to life and showing people a moment in a character's life. That's the power behind stories. To reinforce this lesson, we're going to do an exercise. Take that story that you were working on last time, and we're going to choose a scene of dialogue where two characters could speak to each other. If the story is just about yourself, then invent a new character, like of your mind or the emotion that you're struggling against, and give it a voice. Because that's step 2. Pick 2 character traits that are different than the way that you normally speak and assign them to each character. If one of them is slightly feminine, you could give them a higher voice like this. Or if one of them's masculine, you could drop your voice down like this. Just small changes, it doesn't have to be massive. And the next step is choosing 2 focal points, just off of center line that you can look between as the characters are speaking. It doesn't have to be out here, just small, and get into it a little bit. That's step 4. Don't make it so it's, then he said, blah, 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 blah. Then she said, blah, 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 blah. Make it something more like this. You know, my dentist would hate you. Why is that? Because you're so sweet, you give me cavities? Jake, we've talked about this. That was really bad. Have fun with it, and I'll see you when you get back. So in summary, acting as the characters in dramatic mode makes a story much more compelling because you are showing people a struggle rather than just telling them about it. And I want to reinforce that it's the feeling that you have that draws other people in because you start feeling that as well, not necessarily the words that you use. To illustrate this, we're going to do the exact same exercise the second time. Use the same scene of dialogue, but just change the words around a little bit, but keep the meaning the same. So it should look something like this. You know, you're so sweet that you'd give me cavities. Uh-huh. My dentist would hate you. Well, tell him the joke, I bet he'd hate you as well. Have fun with it, and I'll see you one more time when we get back. See, although the specifics of the words you use change, the meaning stays the same, and the details that you decide to include or exclude that second time make a difference. What you choose to tell in a story matters, because it gets at a truth. We would all tell different stories to the exact same event. Robin Williams, me, and everyone else on the planet would tell a different story than you would. And that's a good thing, because it gets at the idea that your perspective is yours alone, and is what makes a story unique. That's what we're talking about next time. What details do you include and what details do you leave out? As always, thanks for getting better.